week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael New Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 385. Mr. Somich.
Free tequila huzzah!
Congratulations to the Colorado Avalanche, to Mike Somich and everybody else who bet Avs -1.5 in the series. It got a little tight there for you at the end there, my friend, but you win the bet. Congratulations. First shot out of the new bottle of Casamigos that I sent you the money this morning and you already bought it. So it's 5 o'clock somewhere. That's the island life. Actually, it is 5 o'clock for you. I'm sorry.
5 o'clock right here, actually. No, it was good because we had to go to the liquor store anyway, because I bought a scratch-off lotto ticket for my daughter for the first time. And so she won $15 on a $10 ticket. So she got $15 So we all walked over to the liquor store, took a picture of the Casa Amigos tequila there. It was beautiful, man. It was wonderful. And then she went and bought a mermaid with her $15.
I love that you said $1. I caught that reference. I understood that reference. Katie Page in the chat. Yeah, if you didn't know, I'm wearing my Colorado Avalanche celebratory gear. Darren Helm, my favorite hockey player for the last 15, 16 years. Mike's got his celebrate. Yeah, there you go. It's Casa Amigos, one word, C-A-S Amigos. Yeah, don't worry, Daryl. There's a delay. That's okay. We got you. We're doing it for the podcast listeners too, so don't forget we got that. But yeah, I've got my Darren Helm jersey on. Very happy for him getting his second Stanley Cup. He's close to retiring. What's crazy, Mike? You wouldn't know this. Why would you? But in 2008, when the Red Wings won their last Stanley Cup, he was a rookie and he played in like 4 or 5 games in the NHL. He was on the taxi squad for the playoffs, and they had an injury, and he's a fast guy, and he's great with penalty kills and faceoffs, and they went, oh, you're probably going to be good in the playoffs, and that's how he got stuck. Like, he made his name in the playoffs as a rookie, won the Stanley Cup, and was like, this is great, and then he went 15, 14 years without winning it again. He finally did, so Darren Helm did it, and then Eric Johnson, my fellow co-owner of Lazy Daisy, also getting the win, so congrats to them both.
I mean, I was about to go into my Eric Johnson story before you stole my thunder there. So I also co-owner. He's part of Slam Dunk Racing, and so I owned a couple horses with him in Slam Dunk. I got to meet him in the winner's circle, and I freaked out a little bit. If you don't know, Eric Johnson was the #1 overall pick for the
St. Louis Blues.
St. Louis Blues, and so I watched him. Then he got traded for Shattenkirk a little later, and so kind of to Colorado. So it was great to see Eric Johnson be able to win a Stanley Cup. He's kind of it was one of those guys where he came in with so much hype, and he almost couldn't live up to it. And then as he's gotten better, he's gone through his career, he's gotten better and better and better. And there's an amazing interview with him last night where he said, I literally almost retired last summer. I thought I was going to. I decided to come back for this season, and now 8 months later, I'm skating Stanley Cup around the rink. Like, absolutely phenomenal. And you got to love they dropped it, too. So there was like a big old dent in the Stanley Cup last night, which was hilarious.
You know, that's not the first time that's ever happened. It's just, like, don't do it publicly on TV when you just got it. It's like, what's the famous story? You got stuck at the bottom of a pool once because it was upside down. Yeah. So, I mean, that shit happens. Just don't get caught with it.
Yeah, just don't get caught. That's all it is. Don't do it 5 minutes into your Stanley Cup during your team picture where literally 150 cameras are on you at that one moment.
A general rule of advice from the Magic Mike Show: don't get caught. That's our advice to you, Mike. We are going to be looking at a little different show today. Yeah, still Rich Strike did not cross the Belmont finish line yet Saturday. We are going to be doing a different show today. Gulfstream Park on Thursday has mandatory payouts because it's the end of the month. They're going to do mandatory payouts of the Rainbow Pick 6, the Late Pick 5, and the Super High 5. And we like one of those sequences. We like the Late Pick 5. So we're going to preview that a little bit differently, kind of like the horses who we like, where we think you should go deep if you want to play that. So, Mike, why do you think this was a good recommendation for this style for this show?
Well, first off, the takeout is lower for the pick 5 than the pick 6. You're going to get a very, very big pool. The fact that you have a mandatory pick 6 that starts the race before means everyone who handicapped it and gets knocked out fire right back into that pick 5. So you've got a nice lower takeout pick 5 with, I wouldn't say like this to me is a press sequence where I'm going to probably have a $5 and a $10 ticket here because these fields aren't huge. but they're competitive. So if you're right, you can get paid. And there's a couple horses I like who are not the favorite, who I think are prices. There's a couple prices I like specifically in some of the maiden special weight races, which we'll talk about a little bit. And it's a lot of interesting races because you're not going to have very many 6-5 favorites here. This is going to be a sequence where if you can string together 3-1, 4-1 shots, you're going to get paid in it because that's most likely what you're going to see from a lot of these winners. And if we can pop one 15-1 shot, all of a sudden it's just stacks.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's get into it. The late pick 5 at Gulfstream Park on Thursday, June 30th. And then after that, Mike's got a couple of bonus staple 'em ups for us. So stay tuned to this one. Let's get into it, buddy. Riders up. All right, Mike, before we get into go ahead.
I was saying, don't forget, if you are playing on Thursday, you've got head over to BetPTC, enter code DUDES for a $200 sign-up bonus after you bet your first $750 and get rebates for playing the pick 6 at Gulfstream, the pick 5 at Gulfstream, as well as the pick 6 carryover. It's actually very good rebates for the pick 6 carryover at Belmont as well. So make sure you head over to betptc.com, sign up for promo code DUDES.
But quick peek behind the curtain. I messaged Mike just to make sure he remembered to do the read and then immediately stepped over him when we came out of that. So that's how things go on the Magic Mike Show. Make sure you sign up for BetPTC.com if you haven't yet using promo code DUDES. The first leg of the late pick 5 at Gulfstream Park Thursday, June 30th. This is race 4. We've got 7 fillies and mares, 4 and up. Going 6 furlongs on the dirt. Non-winners of 3 lifetime in for $62.50. This is the bottom of the barrel for this circuit, Mike. Hell of a way to start the sequence.
This is a classic Gulfstream sequence, man. I mean, this is you got to use all your handicapping tools to be able to get through this puppy. We've got maidens, we've got synthetic sprints, we've got the low-level claimers, we've got everything you could ever not want in a single sequence. And this one kicks off with a race that I thought was a single or a spread race. Like this is, to me, I have an opinion in here. I think that you're going to see a pretty good pace here. The 4 wants to go, the 1 wants to go. To me, this sets up really, really well for the 5 horse. And so I'm probably going to look at Ever 3 as a single for me in press tickets. The 7 is the horse who's most likely to go off as a favorite. The numbers fit really well, but this horse has only run once on dirt. That was at a mile at Santa Anita. This is the type of horse that I try and fade. So I'm going to try and beat the 7. I think the 5 makes a ton of sense here, especially with the setup that I expect the 5 to get.
It's funny looking at how a horse makes it from Santa Anita to the Gulfstream by way of claiming, but yeah, that's how it happened for the 7 Mongolian Mission. I went a little differently for me. I almost wondered if it would be worth trying to single the 4 Sweet Penelope just from a pace perspective, or time form early pace rating of 105. The question is, can the horse handle the distance? Because the horse likes to go really fast early, and then other than at Tampa going 5.5, kind of just likes to throw in the towel. So we're going 6. Horses 2 wins. We're both at 5.5. I don't know. Is there enough of a pace advantage at this low of a level, Mike? Because the horse has also never been this far down.
No. And I think the main reason is actually the 1. I don't think the 1 is as slow as time form is giving it. And I would expect that Kenya's Son is going to send. If you look at that last race, was forced 4 wide around the turn in a 6-horse field, drew the 5 post, was 2-1 in that spot, so got bet down pretty good. Just never was able to get to the front. If you take that race out and you go back to any of the other races, we're looking at, there's a 21-4 opening quarter on the page here, right? Where the horse ran second at this level. Hector Barrios is an aggressive jockey. He's going to try and hold the rail here. And the fact, even if the 4 gets loose, I kind of like the 1 a little bit from a second horse perspective, because if we can go back to that race 2 back, it's good enough to win this. And I wouldn't be shocked if the 1 sits right behind the 4 and the 4 just stops. You mentioned the distance issue. Anything over 5.5 seems like a problem for the 4 horse, and we're going 6. So that horse is going to drop down a lawn chair in the middle of the stretch and just sit down on it versus trying to even cross the finish line. So for me, I think you got cheap speed in the 4. I think the 1's going to get a little overlooked. The 7's going to get bet because of the numbers on the page, but none of them are on dirt. And so you're kind of like, what do you do with a 7? To me, that the 5 and the 1 are the 2 horses that make the most sense.
Should people go super deep here? Is this a possible all leg, or should you just try and take a stand, hold your nose, and move on?
In my ladder tickets, this is a possible all leg for me because first off, it depends how the betting goes. If the 7 gets bet down to 6-5, I'll probably chuck the 7 and not play all. I'll just let the 7 beat me if that's the case. Because if I don't want that short of a price on the 7, I don't think he wins that often. I would rather just say, okay, I'm going to play most likely the 1-3-5 and try and get through here, right? But if you get a 3-1, if that holds and everyone else is about the same price, the all button seems a little more attractive to me.
Just like in the third leg of this sequence, different scenario conditions-wise, but you have 6 of the 7 runners that are between 3-1 and 6-1 odds. So I'm with Mike. This feels like a good spot to maybe go all if you don't have a strong opinion here. The second leg of the late pick 5, this is race 5 on Thursday, June 30th at Gulfstream, and we're going to stay on the dirt here. We've got 8 maiden fillies, 3 and 4, going 5.5 furlongs here. Straight maidens, they are protected here. You've got 3 first-timers, including the 3-1 second choice, the 4, Tenacious Val. You've got a 5-2 favorite who's 0 for 5, and she's only finished second once. So how do you structure it from a late pick 5 perspective here?
This is the worst favorite in the pick 6 sequence or the late pick 5 sequence. I don't like this 8 at all. And this 8 is going to take a ton of money. This is your most likely heaviest favorite, most single horse. And I have the least interest in this favorite. First off, breaking from the 8 post, not great. Secondly, this horse doesn't pass anything. Like literally, it's passed 1 horse in 5 races. That was at 5.5 its debut to go from 7th to 6th. So we have a passing horses issue problem, which means we need to make the lead. We can't make the lead problem because of the inside horse, who is significantly faster than the outside horse. So if the 1 breaks at all, I hate the 8. And so I'm going to leave the 8 off of everything here. I think the 1's really interesting. Note the ownership. Safi owns this horse. Entered it in an optional claimer, and now is bumping it up to maiden special weight off the layoff, and calls Zayas, who is his top jockey, to ride the horse, breaking with speed from the rail, first off the layoff. The 1 is very, very dangerous in here. And then from a price perspective, give me a little piece of Sadie's Amendment. I'm going to talk about Sires a little bit later here, but Constitution is the sire on Sadie's Amendment. Constitution clicks off at 18% first-time sire. That's wild. On top of that, Joseph Cantonese, 22%, 2 for 9, with a $7.29 ROI, and he and Panici together, $4.14 ROI at Gulfstream Park. You're getting 15-1 on this horse, who is a very good sire, a good first-out trainer, and jockey-trainer combinations. His percentages are significantly higher than either of them are alone. I wouldn't be shocked if the 7's a runner.
Well, and the dam Nishinda was a grade 3 winner sprinting at Woodbine too. I think back then, it was a long time ago, I think back then it was still dirt. So a talented horse, a talented pedigree. Interesting that a New York bred debuts in Florida in June. It's not exactly something you see, but they paid a lot of money for her. And my one concern, but you're getting 15-1, so not enough for me to not use her in my ticket. Mike, 5.5 seemed too short for a daughter of Constitution, but he clicks off at extremely high percentages, well above average for dirt sprints for debuting 3-year-old horses. Every single metric, Constitution is a rock-solid sire.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. And you mentioned he is dependable, which is one of those things. A lot of these sires, and we're going to get into this a little bit later, struggle at certain things or are exceptional at certain things. Constitution is just really damn good. He has just produced horses at every level, but specifically that, anytime you're 18% for first out, I mean, that's wild. That's ridiculous. I mean, 1 in every 5 of your first-time starters are winning. That's crazy. Like, especially when you have a sample size that's over 150 horses. It's very, very, very good. You have to respect any horse that's out of Constitution. And we talk about that. And I also want to go right to the inside here. McLean's Music, not exactly a slouch, 15% with any first-time starter. And this is an interesting horse to me because, look, Angel Rodriguez, 0 for 20. I get it. But he is 13% on the year. So it's still a pretty good trainer, 12% first out. There's 2 sneaky workouts on this page. June 16th, 47 flat for 4 furlongs, 2 of 12. So it doesn't get the bullet, but 47 flat's very fast. And then 4 back out of the gate, 36 flat. So you have 2 workouts that are sneaky good for a trainer that doesn't always ship here, with a jockey that's a little more unknown, but also a bug. So you're saving 10 pounds with a horse that clearly has speed. Again, a price there at 6-1. Like to me, the 6 and the 7 are pretty interesting first-time starters.
I liked all 3 of the first-time starters. I thought if you wanted to chuck everybody with experience and just go with the newbies, because I think you outlined the 6 and the 7 well. The 4, you're not going to get anywhere close to the price that the 6 and 7 are, but Ralph Nix is very solid with first-time starters. Gets Edwin Gonzalez, who's a solid jockey, especially now that the championship meet is over. But I looked at the breeding for these horses, and what stood out to me with this horse, Tenacious Val has 2 older siblings who have both raced. They both won their debuts sprinting on the dirt at Gulfstream Park, which makes sense. Stonehenge is a big breeder down in Florida. They keep their horses close by, but the pedigree says the horse should love running dirt sprinting Gulfstream Park first time out. So, again, the price won't be there, but I think the 4, I think this is a horse you should really consider.
I thought the 4 was usable. I like the 1 of the raced horses just because Safi's moving this horse up,
Right.
a horse that he owns, and is breaking from the rail with speed. But the 4, 6, and 7 all seem like they're live. This to me is a race where you spread a little bit, but you chuck the 8 to try and get some serious value.
I'm with you. The race 6 is going to be the third leg of the late pick 5 at Gulfstream on Thursday, June 30th. And we've got another field of 7 fillies and mares, all 3 years old, in for $40,000 tags. Interesting conditions on this one because they're non-winners of 3 lifetime if they were older horses, but there are no restrictions for the 3-year-olds. Things get a little wacky in here. Where are you going on top?
Give me the 3, man. Our Reposado Loca. I mean, if we're in the tequila mood, this is a great name to follow up with. This is an interesting one because this horse debuts at Tampa, taken off the turf, which again, we've talked about how the synth to turf is an interesting comparison there, and ends up winning, gets not a great buyer, runs a 42 buyer, then switches barns over to Rohan Crichton. That workout 2 back 35 out of the gate tells me that he's figured out how to put even more speed into this horse. 35% first time with trainer, 19% on synthetic. But to me, the key here is Vancouver. And we talk a lot about sires because it's a lot of younger horses. Have you ever looked up Vancouver's numbers?
I'm looking now for the first time.
26% synthetic sprinting. 16 for 60 with 12 places. So 28 of 60 horses have either won or placed for Vancouver compared to, dirt sprint, 17%, right? Turf sprint, 16%. For some reason, his progeny freaking love to sprint on synthetic. And when you have a horse that goes to a barn that I think is a clear barn upgrade, you get a jockey upgrade, you come back in this spot, you have a great workout. Now you're firing on the surface I think the horse wants the most, and you're getting 4-1. Sign me up for our Reposado Loca.
All great points lining out the 3 horse. I don't hate it. One horse that really caught my attention is the 1, and I talked about the restrictions here. Every other horse in the field, they're looking for their second career win. The 1's looking for career win number 5, and it has 13 starts. So the 1 horse, at least a horse that loves to win, is 3 for 6 on the synthetic at Gulfstream 2. You're getting 6-1, which surprised me. Why is the price so low?
This is an aggressive spot. I mean, that's the main reason, right? I mean, you look at the wins, 12-5 open, 12-5 open, 12-5 maiden claimer, 12-5 open. This is a $40,000 claimer. So you're seeing a significant bump up in class. You can point back to the race where they 3 back, where we got a 72 buyer and a 35 optional claimer, and say, well, this is about the same class, and that's totally fair. You got 5-1 that day. The horse was almost able to get the job done. To me, this seems like a horse that has to wire the field. And so the question then is, can this horse wire the field? I have a couple concerns. So we've got other speed in here. And specifically when you're facing better and you're going to face more pressure, that's where it starts to get a little bit concerning around it. I don't disagree with you on the 1 that's possibly usable. I feel like you've got 3 or 4 horses that want to go here. So I actually like a couple of horses from off the pace because of that, especially because it's that. I want to make sure I get this right. Yeah, it's the 5.5 distance today and not the flat 5. I think that extra half furlong is going to matter for the 1 and the 7.
We'll see what happens with Safi Joseph with another horse in there, the 7 that you're talking about. Connect, pretty decent sire when it comes to synthetic so far. There's another Connect horse we'll talk about in the last leg. Interesting how Connect works on there. Any other horses worth noting here? You want to move on to the next one?
The 4 horse also by Vancouver, already won sprinting on synthetic, and that last race is definitely good enough to put it in here. If you take out the 2 routes we just talked about, Vancouver was better sprinting. Every single race, this horse has got better and better. I think this is a reasonable level, and you get Miguel Vasquez up, who's one of the best jockeys once everybody leaves there. So I like the combination on the 4, and then look, Safi's very good. We talked about Safi with Zayas before. This 6 horse makes a ton of sense to me as well. Went 5.5 flat, optional 35 last time out, ends up running 4th. But if you go and you watch the race, it just wasn't a great trip. Had a little trouble early, was 4 wide around the turn, couldn't really get the momentum going. It wasn't what you were looking for first off a layoff. Now we get Safi second off a layoff. Back on that synthetic, getting 5.5 again. I think it could be all systems go here for the 6 boss lady. So I like the 3 the most, but to me the 4 and the 6 are the other ones that are interesting. If you want a speed, I would go with your 1 over the 7, but I'm probably not going to play either speed.
Like I mentioned with the opener, 6 of the 7 horses are between 3-1 and 6-1 on the morning line. This to me was the most likely all button for me if I was going to play the sequence, and what I'm looking at, as we get closer to Thursday. But we'll move on, Mike. What's the next one? That's right, it's the penultimate leg of the late pick 5 at Gulfstream on Thursday, June 30th, race 7. The boys are back. They're going 6 furlongs on the dirt, $25K open starter allowance. Doesn't matter how many times you've won. And looking at this, Mike, first glance, it smelled like a total pace collapse that could happen in the stretch. Are you looking at a closer on top?
Yeah, I am. But there is no real closer, which makes it a little more difficult. Everyone has a higher early time form than late time form rating. When you go and you look at I use Equinedge as well from a pace perspective. And when you dive into the Equinedge numbers, you don't really know who's necessarily closing. I think that the 7 is the best horse in the field. We'll also get the setup and has shown the ability to close before. So I'm going to be pressing through Jeopardy James here. I think it makes a lot of sense. I like the fact it's interesting because this horse got claimed down at Tampa, and I rarely like to play horses that go from Tampa up to Gulfstream, but you have a lot of other races at Pimlico, Del Mar, Colonial Parks, where this horse has run similar races to what we saw at Tampa. So I'm not going to hold the Tampa thing against the horse. The trainer, 0 for 20 off the claim. Not great, but 23% off the layoff, right? So I'm treating this more of as a layoff horse versus a first off the claim horse, which allows me, obviously I'm helping make my case by picking what number I care about. But in my mind, when you have a horse for this long, when it's over 60 days, it's not really as first off the claimy as if okay, we're running them back in 3 weeks, right? So I like that we have that 23% number of 60 days plus. So I think that the 7 is going to show up and run pretty well here. And I think the pace setup really helps the 7.
If it makes you feel better, Mike, if you narrow down Diane Marici when she runs horses back first off the claim protected, she's only 0 for 7. She's 0 for 13 when she runs them back for tech. So you've got that. But if you look at her stats overall for the meet, she's 4 for 24, which is 17%. She's 15 for 24 in the money with her horses at this meet. That she's having a really good meet. So I'm with you. I would look at this and say that outweighs that plus the other angles that you mentioned. They kind of outweigh that 0 for 20. You also don't know, was she claiming a bunch of those 62.50 mules that we talked about in the opener? Like, what are the scenarios here? So go ahead.
The horse also has been at Prairie Meadows, and they chose to then send the horse down here to Gulfstream to run it, which I think is telling. Two workouts that were 46 seconds or sub 47 seconds for a half mile as well since May. So the horse is working very well, working somewhere else, and then they decided to send it down to Gulfstream for an allowance. I think that all suits well.
That's not Prairie Meadows. That's Palm Meadows. That's Gulfstream.
Oh, Palm Meadows. Training. Yeah, my bad.
A little bit shorter distance from Palm Meadows. I liked the 6 horse here. I thought that the 6 and the 7, I know there's short prices, 5 to 2, 3 to 1, but I thought that one of these two should be kind of the horse that you lean with. I like that the 6 has shown that he's got speed, but he doesn't need to have the lead. He can hang off a little bit. That win last time out was in the slop, and it matched the career best buyer of 80, so I'm a little worried that he's going to bounce. Last time he got an 80, he bounced and had a 70. Slightly higher competition, but between the two, after listening to your case, I'll be honest, I think now I'm leaning 7 over the 6. But did you look at the 6 for a bit as well?
Yeah, I had the 6 as that next up level. 6 kind of likes to burn money. That was my main issue. Like anytime this horse is sub 5 to 1, you don't seem to be getting that same type of price on it or the same type of effort. And the horse loves to run second and third, which is great, but doesn't really help us for the pick X bet. So the 6 horse is one of those where if you're going 3 deep, the 6 makes a ton of sense as the third most logical horse in here. I'm not sure if I want to do that at 5 to 2. I think the 2 is a little interesting if there isn't a pace collapse. I don't know if you looked at rough entry at all, but if you go back to this horse back in 2021, right around now was in the middle of a 5-race win streak at Gulfstream Park, going 5.5, going 6, going 6.5. After that, they entered him in a $300,000 stakes, a grade 3, $62K optional, a $100,000 stakes, another $62K optional, and $25,000 or $65,000 stakes. He faced Wayburn. He faced King Cab a couple times, Willie Boy, legit horses. That's all since that 5-race win streak. Now we're getting back to not legit horses. Part of me wonders if we can rekindle some of that magic. 4 to 1 isn't the price I want, but I do think that the 2 is a threat here, especially if he's able to get the lead. There is other speed. He may not be able to, but if he makes the lead and he's ahead at the turn, he could be very tough in this spot.
And I'll yes Angie because I did like the 2 as well. That a lot of those races, say for 1, he was drawn outside of horses. He's drawn in post 2, and if you look back, what was his best effort in that mix from a buyer perspective? He got an 86 going 6 furlongs on the dirt at Gulfstream against optional claimers, and he was drawn post 3. So that was his best effort in that whole span that you're talking about. I'm with you. I think that this horse is returning to a right level starter allowance company after, facing much, much, much better horses. So if he hasn't had his heart broken, which, he's got 6 wins lifetime, you would think that returning to this level would be pretty good for him.
Yeah, I think that he found his friends here. Getting a couple questions in the chat about the one Joe DiBaggio. I can't make excuses for both of the last 2 races, and that was my biggest concern with Joe DiBaggio. You have races where you can point back that would win this, that are over Gulfstream Park. He loves Gulfstream Park, loves the distance. So the numbers for the track and the distance are very good. Carlos David, very good trainer. You're getting Alvarado up, a good jockey. The last 2 races just really concern me. If I was getting 10-1, I'd be more interested in Joe DiBaggio. The 9-2 price without any excuse as a 70 cent on the dollar favorite last time and as a short price the time before that. That's what concerned me about that horse, about Joe DiBaggio. But I like this race. If you don't like the 6 or the 7 quite a bit, I think you can start getting a little spready here. And Dr. Tang, who took 2 of the worst tournament beats. First off, we should pour one out for Dr. Tang, who on Friday got absolutely screwed, and then on Sunday got absolutely screwed in the last race for 2 BCBC seats. So sorry, man, that sucked.
I'm sorry I couldn't be live on air to make you feel better about it on Sunday as well.
If we were live for Sunday, expletives would have flown out of my mouth because that one also got me on Sunday. It would have been a ridiculous live feed if we were on live for that. But Spear Gun is usable here at a 6-1 price for Zaya. So this is a spot where if and the 4 Old Time Revival just beat Joe DiBaggio sitting on the board at 8-1 for Dana Pitta. So there are definitely horses in here where you can get creative with if you don't think that the 6 or the 7's a standout. I'm probably going to be 7 in most of my stuff here, and then some 7-2, maybe some 3. But for me, it's really going to depend where the scratches are in the earlier races and how the overall structure ends up and where I can spend money.
And speaking of long shots, I know you're not a big fan of Tampa shippers, but Alon Garfield in the chat says big fan of the 3. I'm not going to – you want to try and say the 3's name? Shocho? How the hell do you say that? Shocho. Scoochie. We'll call him Scoochie. So Lon likes Scoochie, the 3 horse at 12-1. There are 2 speed horses, the 3 and the 4, and Vasquez is leaving the 4 for the 3. So if the 3 gets loose or the 4, one of those 2, you could go gate to wire.
I don't mind the 3 here because if let's revert back to my argument with the 2. Let's say the 2 doesn't make the lead. The 3 is the horse I think makes the lead. If the 3 makes the lead and the 3's ahead at the top of the turn, the 3 is dangerous and the 3 is improving. So yeah, I mean, to me, Scoochie. I don't hate the 3 at 12-1, and that's the longest price on the board. And you can make a very legitimate case that this horse makes the lead and doesn't stop. And if that happens, this blows this thing up. So I don't dislike the 3 at all.
Dr. Tang wanted to blow a bunch of stuff up yesterday. He needed a bottle of wine. Yeah, it's pretty awful, buddy. I'm sorry. Hey, you know what? That's not awful. Well, not as awful. The 5th and final leg of this late pick 5 Thursday, June 30th, Gulfstream Park. Remember, mandatory payout of this baby in race 8. We're going back to the synthetic, and we're going to go 2 turns. We've got 3-year-olds, 9 of them going a mile on the 16th, including the 9-horse Quantum Theory, who I used to have a small piece of when he was first getting going, and he likes to go to the front, but big problem. There's a stretch-out sprinter here, Mike, that's drawn inside of him, and I don't think the 9 gets the lead early, and if he doesn't get the lead, I don't think he wins, so where are you going elsewhere?
Yeah, we talked about this. You really, really don't want to be forwardly placed when there's a speed duel on the synthetic course going 2 turns, and there is going to be a speed duel. The 3, the 5, and the 9 all want to go, and we talk about it. 2 horses, you don't necessarily see the duel. When you get 3 speed horses, generally that heats the pace up quite a bit. Because of that, I'm going to be looking for horses that can sit off the pace and be able to make a move here. I like the 8 horse here, Star Shopping. That last race I thought was very good. It was on the turf, but the horse was able to make up some late ground, be able to run at the $35,000 optional level. Gets Barrios back here, actually beat the 7-2 shot 9 horse by a nose in that spot. We have multiple synthetic races that I think point back to the fact that this horse actually does like the surface, including a win over the surface where he broke his maiden. So I like the 8 Star Shopping the most. I think the pace is going to set up well for this horse. I kind of like the 4-1 price, and this might be a win bet if we actually get that number.
Jared's favorite jockey, Barrios Hector.
I love Hector Barrios, man. He has helped me out in tournaments a lot. He's a great tournament jockey. He gets disrespected, and he should not be disrespected.
Speaking of disrespect, Dr. Tang brings up your favorite horse, the 4. Casey Chief, Amicio Jaramillo hopping back aboard again. Boy, this horse loves a synthetic course, got a win and a near miss. He likes to be forwardly placed, but he's not a need-the-lead type, it seems. He's been keeping some good company. Do you like your old friend, the 4?
I've got him as the 3rd pick in here because I think he makes the most sense for the horse to be able to sit off that pace and get first run. I don't know if he's good enough to be able to win sitting off and getting first run, but I do think that he is able to get a very good shot. So I have him in the next up column. He's my 3rd overall pick here. And this is the right spot. He's back with his friends. I mean, this is where he wants to be running, and he likes the synthetic course. We've seen him run well over the synthetic course as well. So I don't see any reason why Casey Chief couldn't be involved late in this.
He and the 2 Panorama truck both stood out to me in this field at first glance because partially they're the only 2-time winners in the field. And the 2 Panorama truck, he's the only one that's won twice on this course. He's got 2 wins, a second, a third, and 5 tries on the synthetic. So clearly likes it. They tried the turf and slightly higher competition last 2 starts, or at least, 2 back at Gulfstream Park. I think at Tampa that was pretty comparable, but a little bit of a break. Now we come back to the synthetic. Do you like the 2?
No. Nope, not a fan. I thought the 2 made a little bit of sense if you want to point back to that, but this is one of those horses I think faced pretty weak fields when he was running here, and now you're going to need to have to step up. But the numbers all fit. I mean, D'Angelo good off the layoff. I like the fact you're getting I think that workout right before at Palm Meadows with 36 seconds is very good. The jockey is what concerns me. I mean, this is one of the leading trainers, and you're getting a jockey that's 3% on the horse when you have other guys that could ride and would want to ride this horse if you thought it was ready to go. So I think that kind of tips the hand there a little bit on Panorama Truck. I do like the 6 Ghost in You, who I think a couple people have mentioned here in the chat as well. Safi horse is going to be coming from off the pace. We talked a little bit about how we thought this would be a pretty hot pace up front. If you're willing to draw a line through that turf race, I think you should be. He got pinched in the first turn. The pace was really slow. He was really far back. And in the turf course, going a mile at Gulfstream is going to favor horses that are forwardly placed, especially when they go 49-112. It's going to be really hard to close into that. Now you're getting back into the kind of the back with your friends, right? This horse was able to win over synthetic, got a 62 buyer breaking its maiden. It's a $250,000 horse by Ghost Sapper. Like, this horse should have some talent somewhere in there, and the pace is going to be right to set up for the 6 Ghost in You.
Yeah, I caught my attention. Safi, co-owner of this one as well. Big price tag. So last time you raced for a tag, the only other time got the win, Alvarado was in the saddle. And Alvarado, I think, is ready to try and take over as the new king at Gulfstream in the summertime. So it looks like a good mount here. Any other horses, or are we good with this last leg?
That's about it for me. I thought the 3 was a little interesting if he's able to rate. I'm not so sure he's going to be able to, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of these horses, we'll see what they can do. But, that's the Thursday late pick 5 at Gulfstream on June 30th. Remember, mandatory payout of that, plus the Super High 5 and the Rainbow pick 6. So we can check those out. Mike, a couple other things we thought would be fun. Number 1, the Stable 'em Up feature, which if you're not familiar with at the YouTube channel, first of all, that means you're not subscribed. Subscribe to youtube.com/racingdudes. But Mike does a series with Stable 'em Up. There's a horse that usually is a horse that didn't win. It's a little different today, but he's a horse that nonetheless you need to pay attention to moving forward. So you've got 2 of them from Sunday at Belmont. Do you want to go with race 4 first?
I actually have 3. One of them is a legit stable up. You just don't know yet. So I'm gaming the system a little bit. These are some 3-year-olds that I want to take a look at because I think they're going to be in stakes next out at Saratoga. They were absolutely dominant, getting 93 and 91 buyers respectively. Let's take a look at race number 6 first here, and we'll continue some of our sire talk. The 6th race, this is a 6.5 furlong maiden special weight for the boys, 3-year-olds and up. And you've got a 3-year-old in here, a creative, who's the 8 horse. This is a horse by Practical Joke. I've talked so much about Practical Joke on this show. If you don't know Practical Joke, you should by now. Absolutely dominant, going 1 turn. Wonderful, wonderful sires. Really, really precocious early. This was just a really impressive race from my perspective. Didn't break that well. Sitting mid-pack here, and then you can just start see the momentum come with this 8 horse. The 6 and the 7, both pretty touted horses. Southern Flag. This is 4th race, first off the layoff versus a 3-year-old, and was very good at Saratoga last year. Not going to be able to get the job done because this 8 is just a monster. And once you see a credit start rolling, you can see how good it is. This was a Chad Brown Klarovich horse with IRAD up, bet down from 3-1 on the morning line down to 6-5. And this is a 4-wide move without even trying. I mean, Ira hasn't even asked, and he's just gone. Again, 91 buyer here. To me, this was the less impressive of the two because I don't know how much is behind him here, but I do think that the sprint distance, I would expect a 7-furlong race, 7-furlong stakes race next time out. He just looked good. I mean, and once he was also professional, which I like to see. So we're going to talk a little about that with the next horse. Changes leads well down the lane. Ira asked him a couple times. He's able to run out. This was just a really, really impressive performance by Son of Practical Joke.
So you asked you're not sure who was behind him. I'll tell you one horse behind him, Southern Flag, ends up finishing 5th, is the second choice at about 7-2. Southern Flag was making his first start at age 4, but made 3 starts as a mate at age 3, finishing 2nd or 3rd. Miles D beat him. He was 3rd to Miles D, but then he was 3rd to Ducali and asking for a baskin, Mike.
The race that just keeps on giving, baby.
That was his last start, and now he faced Accretive. So the fact that there is a huge gap from Accretive to Southern Flag makes me feel better, because if he didn't beat Southern Flag by that much, not horses I want to be compared to too much.
Yeah, no, he beat the crap out of him. And this is one where, again, we're harping on sires. We're going to talk a lot about sires this episode because Saratoga's coming up. You're going to see a ton of 2-year-olds, and it makes a big difference. Practical Joke. I mean, this is another one where 15% first out with 3-year-olds, 17% first out overall. You've hit on this multiple times, and this is an important one. 18% dirt sprints, 5% dirt routes, 13% turf sprints, 2% turf routes.
Oh, God, he's up to 2% now.
1 turn. Play him at 1 turn, specifically on the dirt. Make sure you are looking for Practical Joke horses at Saratoga or wherever you're playing, because Practical Joke really precocious first time out, especially around 1 turn.
Well, a couple other, I don't want to call them knocks. Since we're comparing 2 very impressive winners, I'll call them knocks here. But a knock on Accretive, number 1, he was based at Monmouth Park this whole time, training for his debut. So usually Chad Brown, we've talked about this, doesn't always keep his best stock at Monmouth like that. Also, Kalleward Stables campaigned Practical Joke with Chad Brown when he had that great 2- and 3-year-old season, and they gelded this horse before he debuted after spending a lot of money on him. So to me, that means that they like him, but there's some issues with him, and yes, Practical Joke is producing and he's doing it great, but this horse maybe it's the 1-turn limitation too, Mike. There's something with this horse that isn't as nice as the other one we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to gush about the other one in a second here. I use Timeform to stable, or I'm sorry, I use Equibase to stable up my horses. So I have an Equibase stable with all the horses that I'm referencing. You can keep notes there. They email you when your horse is coming up, and it's totally free.
Yeah, Equibase virtual stable, it's free. You can have up to 200 horses in there. And like Mike said, you can have all sorts of limits and lots of good stuff there. So I've been using that for 6 years. I actually have 2 of them. I have one that's for all the 2-year-olds I'm watching in a given year, and then one for all the other horses.
Got to win that fantasy league, baby.
Hey, listen, it worked. Damn it, the system worked this year. We made it. All right. So was that good for Accretive, the 8-horse?
Yes. Yeah. The actual stable up is in the other race.
Okay. Well, let's move over to that one then. Race 4 at Belmont Park on Sunday, June 26th. Take it away, Mike.
Yeah, this is just a thing of beauty. I mean, we talk about professionalism and how hard it is to win first time out, how hard it is to win from the rail. The one horse is St. Tappet. This is a Tappet horse, a Havre de Grace. Yes, that Havre de Grace, Grade 1 winning, Breeders' Cup winning horse. It doesn't break that well, rushes up, gets put in beside the 6. Now, watch the decision here by the jockey. Okay, I'm going to take him up, move him out, ask a little bit, and then rate the horse. This is his first start. Like that, there are 5-year-old horses that can't do that, okay? Like that was not the great break. A bad position, first time racing in the afternoon. You got an 8-5 shot who's sitting in 3rd right now. So it's not like this is a bunch of slouches around here. That's a brown horse that ran 2nd last time. You got another brown horse in 3rd. And then just able to kind of pull away. Just goes right past the 6. No one can really make up much ground except for Mount Craig, who we will talk about in a second here. This horse is so regally bred. And just the way that St. Tappet is able to run away from this horse is really, really impressive. This field is really impressive and doesn't change leads. There's still some Tappet in this horse. There's still a little bit of goofiness going back and forth here down the stretch. There is more talent in there. 1 turn is not what this horse wants. This horse wants 2 turns. This horse wants more distance. I'm guessing you're going to see St. Tappet next in the Curlin and then the Travers if that performance goes well. But this is probably your Curlin favorite coming out of this maiden special weight. And just to put the icing on the cake, 2 works ago, worked with Wits. 4 works ago, worked with Charge It. That's what unraced worked with 2 Grade 1 winners for the Pletcher Barn, or Grade 1 placed horses for the Pletcher Barn. That's what he thought of them.
Well, and not only that, Mike, but Charge It also owned by Summer Wind Equine, so it's the same looking silk, same dumbassery because he's a tapper running in the stretch like that. Lon agrees. Big timer. Watch out for St. Tappet. That horse, like Mike said, it's just everything that Luis Sai has asked this horse to do. You shouldn't see a debuting 3-year-old handle it the way he did and pull away like it was nothing. And we were comparing this with the Crevet. This was a better field than what a Crevet faced later in the day later in the day, because you had a horse Triple Elvis who was actually the favorite at 8-5 over this one. A Chad Brown horse that you mentioned, Mike, was second in his last 2 starts, but on debut lost to Major General. Second career start was second ahead of Mo Donegal, the Wood Memorial Belmont Stakes winner. Triple Elvis was ahead of him. Almost won his 3rd start at Belmont. Chad Brown gave him time off, and it says here that he tired. St. Tappet just made him look like dog food. It was bad. He just completely destroyed him here.
I just beat him down. And just real quick, so someone you might want to stable up, a horse named Midnight Escape from the Todd Pletcher Barn. Midnight Escape, unraced horse, has been working the last 2 times with this one. So I would assume Midnight Escape will debut at Saratoga and be very, very good. So Midnight Escape from the Pletcher Barn is one I want to talk about. I'm going to pull the race back up because I want to talk about one more horse in this race before we call it a day.
Go ahead. Real quick, to talk about Midnight Escape. It is a 3-year-old unraced son of Spitestown out of an Indian Charlie mare. Good luck capturing that horse on film because he's going to be fast.
Now, we're going to keep an eye on the 2 horse this time. So I think, can I control it? I can. Watch the 2 horse here. So this is Mount Craig. This is a son of Arrogate who wants 2 turns. Clearly wants 2 turns. It was 18-1. The horse breaks okay, but doesn't get rushed up here. You can see that Jose Ortiz is kind of controlling this horse. This is a Belmont horse with Jose Ortiz up top. That tips your hand right away. The horse is pretty good. The Dam was a stakes winner. She had 3 wins. 5 sisters are all stakes winners. Second Dam is a multiple sister to a Grade 1 stakes winner. So the family, very, very good on the Dam side. Now you can start seeing that Arrogate kind of form take in here. Nice move from the back. Able to make a nice move around the turn. Again, that 5 horse that is going to end up running second here, beating in the photo, that's the son of Nyquist out of a Lemon Drop Kid mare. This is a Chad Brown first-time starter as well. So you've got a pretty good horse in the 5. Obviously, the 1 and 4 are very good, and the 2 makes up good ground around this turn, and then just kind of flattens out. I mean, it just essentially close 10 lengths into a 46-second half. That's pretty tough to do, and then kind of sustain it first time out. I love this horse stretching out to 2 turns. If we can get anything over 5-1 on this horse at Saratoga stretching out to 2 turns, I think you've got a really live horse in Mount Craig. I'm sure that's where we'll see him next.
And you mentioned the Chad Brown horse that beat him by a nose with Flavian Pratt up. I mean, that's a debuting son of Nyquist out of a Lemon Drop Kid mare, so good breeding from that horse as well. I think Mount Craig was very eye-catching for if you're looking for the horses to maybe a horse that you probably get a little bit better price on, because the first 2 we talked about. Short prices next time out, Mike.
Yeah, but I think St. Tappet is going to be your favorite in the Curlin, most likely. I mean, it was that impressive there. Just to kind of finish this Sire thing and hammer it home real quick, this is where you dig up those Sire stats. So this is Blood Horse. If you just simply type in freshman Sire stats as a Google, you can pull this up and you're able to look at first-time Sires. One of the things we talk about is being in front of the Sires that are successful and fading the ones that are struggling early. Heading into Saratoga, heading into Delamar, I think this is great. As you can see, Bolt de Oro, 16 starters, 7 winners already. Justify, already 4 for 8. Gervin there, 3 for 7, including Devious Dame, who I believe won a stakes race at, I think it was Churchill Downs. So very good start there. A couple that jumped out at me. Sharp Azteca is 6 for 17. I would not have expected Sharp Azteca to be 6 for 17. The gate right away. So that's one where it's sneaky good, standing for just $5,000, but already 6 for 17 is really interesting. One that, we're going to say maybe we should take a hold on. Number 19 on the list, Mendelssohn, 0 for 8 to kick off the career. So Mendelssohn struggling as a sire early, which is a little bit surprising. So when you go down this list, for me, Bolt de Oro is one that I've been playing already. Your boy Good Magic has had a very, very good start. Good Magic sitting here 5th on the list. This is in earnings. The list is sorted by. With 99 fulls, you have 8 raced, 3 of them won first time out. So Good Magica has a good start. Justify, a good start. Bolt Oro, good start. Sharp Azteca, very good under the radar start. Mendelssohn, not so good so far. So again, we're early. Sample size is small, but this is something that I think gives you an edge in a lot of these 2-year-old races, because if you know which first crop sires are successful, this makes a big deal.
Sharp Azteca, to your point, Mike, is a huge surprise because he was trained by Jorge Navarro, and you would think that drugs wouldn't pass over, but Sharp Azteca was just that talented. He could overcome it. He is a son of Freud, and Freud is despite Freud's actually, if you look at Freud's race record, you'd never look at that and go, "Oh, that's a top stallion in New York." No, Freud's actually a really good stallion in New York. So Sharp Azteca keeping that going. I did see Good Magic got his first winner not that long ago. He's already got 2 more. That's good to see because what the hell's their name? Stone Street was doing a giveaway for hats. I was trying to get myself a Good Magic hat for that win. So yeah, great stuff here. And yeah, if you're interested, if you're watching the live or the replay on YouTube, Mike put the link in the chat there as well. So make sure you go click on that one. Mike, I thought since Saratoga's coming up, it'd be kind of fun to try and look ahead and say your top 3-year-old males as we get into Saratoga, because you mentioned here you like this horse that debuted and is probably going to go straight from the Curlin straight from this debut race rather into the Curlin and then possibly the Travers. So your top 3-year-old males, please.
Yeah, let's start at number 5. You just want to pull up the replay? Because I'm putting St. Tappet at number 5. Havre de Grace was a phenomenal horse. They've actually bred Tappet to Havre de Grace before. We've never seen a horse this precocious early from those two. And then the professionalism for this effort, absolutely phenomenal. I've got St. Tappet as the 5th. And this is interesting. Magic gave me this assignment and set no parameters. So I think legitimately St. Tappet could be the 5th most talented horse we have seen right now in this 3-year-old crop. I would expect that this horse can take monster step forward. Next out and 3rd off the layoff. I'm excited to see what St. Tappet can do as a 4-year-old.
Yeah, like you said, Mike, the horse that based off of the way that he ran and with the breeding, just getting started at this 6.5 for a long distance, wait till you get to see St. Tappet going 2 turns. Could be a real thing of beauty. Where do you want to go with number 4?
I'm going to stay in New York, man. I'm actually going to stay in the Chad. Well, no, I'm going to switch to the Chad Brown barn. I'm going to go with early voting number 4. Look, I got to give a lot of credence to what happened in the Triple Crown in the run up to it. The Wood Memorial turned out to be a very, very good race for the first time in a while, but a very, very good race. Early voting was run down by Mo Donegal in that race, but set a nice pace, and it was able to win the Preakness off that race. So I think early voting right now would be number 4 on my list. And honestly, I'm going to leave both Messier and Taba off. They are both honorable mentions to me because I have no clue what to expect until I know what barn they're going to be in. And like the Haskell is just such a head scratcher because what do you expect from Taba? I have no clue. But from a talent perspective, both of them are very, very, very talented. I just don't know what to expect because of the barn issue.
Exactly. And as far as Taba Messier goes, the Racing Dudes team has kind of taken the unofficial pattern. We're just going to wait until Bob Baffert gets his hands back on these horses. Then we'll see what they've got back under the hood there. Where do you want to go number 3?
Number 3, I'm going to go Mo Donegal. God beat him in the Wood. Was able to get the job done in the Belmont. He looked great in the Belmont. Got a pretty good trip, but looked very, very good in it. Improved every single race. And specifically this year, if we're looking for horses, we're looking for 2 turns, we're looking for 1.25 miles. That's more up Mo Donegal's alley than the earlier prep races. We talked about him in Florida where it just was too short for him. Even the Preakness would have probably been a little too short for him. That's why we skipped and we go to the Belmont. That 1.5 miles hit Mo Donegal right between the eyes. 1.25 miles is still a pretty good distance for him, especially when there aren't 20 horse fields and he has to go 14 wide.
That also helps a little bit there. Surprised you have him number 3. I know Aaron Halterman has him ranked number 1, so that means your top 2 are going to be a little bit of a surprise as well. Who's number 2? Number 2?
Number 2 is back in the Chad Brown bar. We're going Jack Christopher. He's just been wildly impressive in 2 starts. This horse should have no issue stretching out, and if that happens, all of a sudden he has to be in this conversation for being number 1. He's done nothing wrong in those 2 starts. Looked absolutely dominant. He's got the speed, but he's been able to rate, and that has been absolutely huge for Jack Christopher. The ability to sit off a horse and go makes him even more dangerous with that tactical speed. So I'm going to sit Jack Christopher there at number 2. The fun part is all 4 or 5 of these horses we're going to see at Saratoga running against each other if everything pans out.
In the Travers Stakes, yeah, what an epic race that could end up being. It could be that the Travers turns into all of the good horses from the Kentucky Derby that we want to see keep racing, and the rest of them that made the 20-horse field, stay home, that's okay. Number 1, I know where you're going. I'm excited. Tell me about it.
Respect to your boy, man. I mean, I'm gonna put Epicenter at number 1, and yes, he's lost to some of these horses, But Epicenter, if you go back, he ran too good to lose in the Derby. He ran absolutely too good to lose there. He got one of the worst rides I've ever seen in my life in the Preakness, and it's the reason why I think that he lost the Preakness, or at least it wasn't very, very, very close. He was still making up ground after that horrific ride from Rosario. He went through the gauntlet early in his 3-year-old season. When you go through that and you don't have as much time between races, it's a little harder to see that consistent improvement. He still took small steps forward every time. Now he gets a break. Now we're going to see what kind of improvement we can actually see later in the year. And he doesn't run a bad race. Like there's no race that he ran all year where you're like, well, that was shitty. No, every single time you can point to something where he, like the Derby ran too good to lose. The Preakness, it was the trip. He didn't see the horse coming at Fairgrounds. But he is ultra talented, getting better, and I'm interested to see what he can do off the break. The caveat here, if Jack Christopher can handle 2 turns, which is still an if, and some people are assuming it's not, if he can handle 2 turns, he's really good.
Boy, and we get the Haskell Stakes as kind of a primer and a preview for the Traverse. It's like the buy-in for a great pay-per-view. You just can't wait to see it. Let us know. What do you think? Tell us in the chat in the comments. Who do you have as your top 5 there? Mike, before we get out of here, one last thing. Thoughts with my buddy Ruben Fuentes. He had a really bad accident last week at Canterbury Park. One of our followers was there live at the track, had a horse running in the next race and saw it and was messaging with me back and forth about it. But he had surgery today. I haven't seen an update, but he, He fractured his C6 in his neck. He fractured his skull and broken collarbone. So it was a pretty bad spill. Horse broke down on the front end, and he pitched forward and went straight down on his head. So thoughts with him? It's a scary game. It's a risky game. And Mike, I know that whenever people ask about tipping us or giving thanks to us as a way of saying thanks, we like to direct them to the PDJF for this very reason.
Yeah, it's a dangerous game out there for these jockeys who a lot of these smaller tracks don't make the kind of money that you see from the Saratoga tracks, and so it's tough. And there's a limited amount of time, and it's possible you have injuries like this. And so it's to me it's really important that we support the PDJF, which send out checks to disabled jockeys who are disabled because of being at the races, who are unable to do other things at work. And it's 100% funded by donations. It's a great cause. So if anyone out there is looking for a charity to donate to, I always recommend the PDJF because it's like I said, it's 100% raised by donations and completely funded. So hopefully Ruben's doing well. Hopefully the surgery went well, and it was tough.
Can't even imagine what all the stuff that I break is like below the waist. So I know what that recovery is like. This stuff, I don't know. This was always intact, well, as intact as it's ever been for me. So you make your own judgment there. But yeah, I don't know what that recovery is like. I can't imagine it's going to be very fun.
No, I can't. I also feel for the whole family. I mean, 2 of his brothers were on track. His brother ended up winning the race and ran right back to him. So it's just a tough time for the whole family. And so then as Luis, he was out riding in Canterbury the next day. I mean, it's got to be tough on everybody. So whole Fuentes family, we're thinking about you, and hopefully all is well.
Well, hopefully all is well with you. Thank you so much for joining Mike and I for the Magic Mike Show 385. If you're going to play Gulfstream, remember it's Thursday, June 30th, end of the month. They have the mandatory payouts of the late pick 5, the super high 5, and the rainbow pick 6. So go play that. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Kalleward. He is at Somobomb 18, number 1, number 8. You're on the other side, and I still got it correct.
You still nailed it.
Corporate Overlords at Racing_Dudes. Yeah, that, but I can't, not talk over you when 5 seconds after I say, hey, don't forget to do the read. By the way, don't forget, BetPTC.com. Make sure you go sign up using promo code DUDES. Mike, Churchill Downs is going to be where the action's at this weekend. I'm sorry, it's Stephen Foster weekend. They are back on the turf, supposedly.
Yeah, sure they are. That's fine. I've been focusing on Churchill Downs more because I wanted to get better at it. One of those things, like as a handicapper, the best thing you can do is just handicap that track more. I started to do better this weekend, so excited about that. Hopefully we can kind of keep that momentum going. But it's a nuancy track, and you got to pay attention to that, how the front end is playing there too, because man, it can be just an absolute conveyor belt. If you don't realize it soon enough, it can hurt.
We have the Breeders' Cup winning urine for the Classic and the Stephen Foster. We have the Breeders' Cup winning urine for the Filly and Mare Sprint and the Princess Rooney, and the defending champion of both of those races, CC, is supposed to be back at Gulfstream Park on Saturday. So we'll have full previews for you over racingnews.com and youtube.com/racingdudes. Until Thursday, when Mike and I are back with a preview, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike, drinking free tequila.
Enjoy that tequila, buddy. Enjoy your day, everybody. We'll see you on Thursday.
This has been a presentation of RacingDudes.com, your destination for all things horse racing and sports betting. Whether you want free winners, expert insider picks, up-to-the-minute trackside weather reports, or podcasts and videos for bettors of all skill levels, never make another wager without visiting the Racing Dudes. First,